Welcome, everyone. If you were with us last Friday, we had some technical difficulties, and so I'm going to try my best to not have technical difficulties, re-record this webinar. Unfortunately, my wonderful co-host, Ashley Smith, will not be able to be here for the re-record because she is traveling today. That being said, let's go through the content. If you were here and watched this live on Friday, just know that this will be a slightly truncated version, but it'll be the same really good content. Ashley, she's amazing. I'm not as cool, but still try to be a really good lender. But why are you here? This is a guide to buying your first home, part two. Recommend, if you haven't already, go to firstfridayrealestate.com. That's where you can download the handout for part one, as well as watch the video for part one. So let's go ahead, get ready, and get in. So the home buying process made easy. This was an infographic that we went over. Don't feel like you need to zoom in and take pictures of each of these squares. It's on the handout. But essentially, we're going to focus a lot today on pre-approval. That's a really critical part of this process because you really can't even get started on the journey unless you have a pre-approval letter. And in terms of where pre-approval happens, it usually happens in this first part of the journey. Sometimes folks get pre-approved before they have the consultation with the realtor. Sometimes it's reversed. Everybody's journey is a little bit different in terms of how it starts, but we all want to get to the same destination, which is at the closing table, getting the keys to our brand new home. Going through to what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about why getting pre-approved matters, applying for a mortgage, top things to avoid after applying for a mortgage, and what a good realtor can do for you. So why does pre-approval matter? Well, pre-approval is key and it matters because we still are in a very competitive market. Inventory is at historical lows. And even though interest rates have gone up, we still have historically low inventory, which means if you are a buyer, you've got to bring your A game. You've got to be ready. And how can you be ready? Well, a pre-approval helps you figure out your must-haves, your nice-to-haves, as well as the dream state, the things that, oh man, if money were no option, I'd like to have these things. Will you be able to get all of your dreams and all of your nice-to-haves? No, that's why they're called dreams and nice-to-haves. But at the very least, figuring out the nice to haves and the dream state items, it can really help your realtor as well as your lender figure out a budget that's realistic for you, as well as a short list of homes for you to go look at. Also, why pre-approval matters is the max amount you can borrow. It can act as a guide for your budget. It helps you stand out from other buyers, and it shows the seller that you are a serious buyer. What is a pre-approval? A pre-approval is where I, the lender, am going to verify your credit. What's your credit score? I'm going to verify your income. How do you make money and how much do you make? I'm also going to verify your assets. How are you going to afford the down payment? Those are the three basic things that I'm going to do. Based on those three things, I'll be able to develop an amount or a budget for you. That amount will be on a pre-approval letter, and it'll have my signature, my license number. You'll be able to take that to your wonderful realtor, Ashley, and it's from that piece of paper that you start looking for homes that fall at or under that budget. So bottom line, that pre-approval letter is critical to letting the seller know, as well as a realtor know, that you are a serious buyer because your credit, your income, and your assets have all been verified. Now, let's also talk about applying for a mortgage. Make sure that you've got these things handy before you start filling out an application. I can tell you how many times I'll have a customer start an application and abandon it halfway because they weren't ready with these documents. There will be more documents than these, but this is a good place to start. You've got this slide as well as this slide if you already have a house that you're under contract for. In terms of loan options, and this is going to be for several webinars in the future, you really have got kind of three buckets. The first bucket is going to be government loans. That's going to be FHA, VA, USDA, as well as FHA 203K. That's a renovation loan. You'll then have a conventional loan that's going to be underneath a conforming loan limit. The conforming loan limit is $750,000 or under. Anything over $750,000 in terms of the loan amount is going to be a jumbo loan. Jumbo loans really go all over the place in terms of their qualifications. And then if you are not a U.S. citizen, there are still plenty of options for you. We have some excellent foreign national loan products. So what are some things to avoid after applying for a mortgage? Excuse me. First is you want to make sure that you continue making your mortgage and rent payment. You want to make sure that you continue living where you say you're living. You want to make sure that you're able to source all deposits, no ghost cash, no, oh, this $10,000 came from somewhere legitimate. Trust me. Also, you want to make sure you ask your loan officer before making any financial decisions throughout the loan process. And you also want to alert your loan officer if your compensation changes in any way, whether it's for the good or for the bad. And then you do want to make sure that you're checking your credit report at least once a year for any changes. What are some don'ts? Well, make sure that you don't open or close any credit card accounts. Make sure you don't make any major purchases until after until you owned your home. Also, make sure that you're not transferring balances from one account to the other. Make sure that you're not sharing your credit details with anyone unless you've checked with your LO. Make sure you're not running your credit unnecessarily before asking your loan officer first. And please, please, please don't quit your job. That makes things very complicated. Now, what are some other things to avoid after applying for a mortgage? Be very careful about depositing large sums of cash. If you do need to deposit a large sum of cash, check with your LO first. Please don't make any large purchases. Please don't co-sign on any loans with anyone. Please don't change bank accounts. Please don't apply for new credit. And please, please, please don't close any accounts, even if you're so excited that you finally paid off that credit card. Closing an account, it can and will hurt your credit. Bottom line, I want to make sure, and Ashley wants to make sure, that your purchase goes as smoothly as possible. So remember, before you make any large purchases, move money around, or make any major life changes, please make sure you consult your lender and also preferably your realtor as well, because your realtor and your lender, they should be a team. They should be working closely together. So what will a good realtor do for you? This is where I wish Ashley were here, but I'll go ahead and brag on her while she's not here, which is a good agent is going to make sure that you understand the ins and outs of contracts. This is where I see a lot of buyers who don't know what a good agent is. Oftentimes the contract, which is how much is the seller going to pay? How much are you going to pay? What's going to, excuse me, what's going to be provided? It's got to be spelled out in the contract. Also, a good realtor is going to keep you up to date on today's market conditions. And a good realtor is going to serve as your advisor in the negotiation process, as well as just give you really good advice and be there to share their experience so that your transaction is as smooth as possible. So I know that was a whirlwind, but hopefully this was a clean recording that didn't have any audio or video issues. Thank you so much for watching this re-record of a First Friday real estate webinar.